This is Dr. Dixie, your Women's Health, Obstetrics and Gynecology. I hope you are all well. I promised to share my birth story with you. I know it's taken a while, but forgive me. I know all of you understand how it is to have a child. So here we go. In January 2022, my husband and I decided to start trying because time wasn't on our side anymore. So I started to go to the gym, I started to kickbox to get myself ready. You know how it's important to be in shape before you get pregnant. So I started my kickboxing classes, I think in March 2022, and right around April 2022, I started to feel funny. I was sneezing all the time. I was a little tired. I even told my kickboxing trainer that it was pretty weird because despite the fact that the training was difficult, I was feeling so tired. But he said, okay, it could just be that you're kicking too much. So I just forgot about it and took some antihistamines and said, okay, since it's the change of the season, maybe it's the pollen that is disturbing me, or I'm just allergic to something that I don't know about. So a couple of days after, I realized that despite the fact that I was so tired, my appetite has changed as well, and that was what sent my mind to taking a pregnancy test. So I took one and it was positive. I was like, okay, since it's positive, I guess my kickboxing season is over. So I stopped my kickboxing class, and as some of you know, I'm a first time mom. Okay, that was my very first pregnancy. So I went to my clinic and I did the scans myself. Okay, so as I did the scans, I saw the gestational sac, which is the where like you see it in the womb, and it confirms where your pregnancy is. It's like, hey, I'm really pregnant. Okay, but after some time, I think after 2 weeks or so, I was still feeling funny. I went to work one day and I realized that I had started spotting, and I really do remember that shift because it was a very, very difficult one. I had lots of cesarean sections. I had women having postpartum, bleeding, blood pressure problems, like big tears that I had to suture. It was a very, very tough shift for me. And during this shift, it's still a bit hard for me to talk about it, but during the shift I started bleeding, and I did another scan myself, and I realized that I was miscarrying. But there were people waiting for me in the delivery room. I had to still continue my shift, so I just freshened up a little bit. Then I went to continue with my deliveries, continue with my cesarean sections, and stabilizing the women that I had to take care of. And then when I needed to freshen up in between, I just go freshen up, cry a little bit, breathe a little bit, and come back to continue my shift. So that was my first pregnancy. It was hard. I cried about it, and I decided, okay, because I know that lots of pregnancies end in the first trimester, very likely because there are genetic problems, then well, maybe there could have been a genetic problem, because of course I'm not a young mother. I'm 35 plus, and this could have been the case. So I just forgot about it, and we decided to try again. So in August 2022, we tried again, and I think 10 days after ovulation, I checked and I realized that I was pregnant again. So right from the very beginning, I put myself on progesterone pills to make sure that everything stabilizes, and I was tracking the ultrasound scan from the very, very beginning. I even taught my husband to do the scans because of course every time I had free time, I'll just go to the clinic with him, and if I'm not able to do the scan myself, I have him do it for me. I mean, why not, right? It's better than going to see someone else to do the scan for me. So we tracked the pregnancy right from the very beginning. And in the beginning, there were 3 sacs. Okay, like, okay, 3 sacs. How am I going to manage triplets if it happens to be like 3 and 1? Because I know even 1 baby is very difficult. So having 3 babies, being above 35 with an increased risk of preeclampsia, an increased risk of gestational diabetes, an increased risk of just the pregnancy being complicated because I'm not a young mom. I didn't want, somehow I was okay with seeing 3 gestational sacs, but I would have preferred if it was just 1. So we kept tracking this pregnancy over and over again, and by the time there was a heartbeat, we saw just 1 sac. I was okay with it because having 1 baby it's totally okay for me. So at around 6 weeks, we saw the first heartbeat. I took some photos, printed them out, and we were pretty happy to have heard the heartbeat together. It was a very, very lovely experience, despite the fact that I always do this scan for my clients and share in their joy, but it was different this time because I was on the other side of the table. So around 6 weeks, like I said, we did the scan, we saw the heartbeat, and we started to track every single week because of my previous experience. So I was taking my folic acid, I was trying to eat well as much as I could. In the beginning, I still had appetite, but I think around week 8 or 9, I started to throw up. Oh my goodness, I was throwing up every single thing that I ate. I couldn't eat anything. I think the only thing that I managed to eat was okra, and the Ghanaians who know this food called kokonte. Even that I ate, and as soon as I ate, I had to run to throw it out as well. So eating was a very, very, very difficult thing for me during my pregnancy journey, and it continued like that till the very end. I had to rely on protein shakes, this nutri drinks like what's it called, Nutrilon or Ensure, just to give me a protein boost, because I just couldn't go without eating anything. I just couldn't go without having any calories at all. So little by little, the pregnancy journey progressed, and I kept tracking, doing ultrasounds myself to see if baby was okay, and it was going good. It was going pretty good. In December 2022, just as I had started feeling baby kicks here and there, I went on a shift. I think that was the last shift for the year, and I got a very bad flu. I think one of my colleagues or a patient came in with a very bad cough, and I caught it, and I stayed home for 1 whole month. I was coughing like crazy. No drugs were working for me. I couldn't, like, the cough syrups were not working, antibiotics were not working, nothing was working. I had a very high temperature. I was pretty sick, but after 1 month, I was able to go back to work because I didn't want to stay home during my pregnancy and say I had a high risk pregnancy. Why do I stay home, right? I need some action in my life. So I went back to work after 4 weeks of being home, and I decided, I asked my colleagues what they thought about giving myself some steroid shots, because who knows, right? Maybe my journey would end earlier than normal. So around 27 weeks, that was just a few weeks after I had started feeling baby movements, I gave myself a steroid shot, and you know, a few hours after giving yourself a steroid shot, it's, I think, 24 hours after giving yourself a shot, or after taking a shot, you could feel a reduction in baby movement. So when I did feel a reduction in baby movement, I didn't freak out. Of course, I checked it out on ultrasound. I did an ultrasound scan myself to make sure my baby was okay. But after that, baby movement still didn't improve. That was at 27 plus 4 or 27 plus 5 weeks. Baby movement was still not okay. I kept doing ultrasound scans. I used to do an ultrasound scan every single day. I went in the morning and I went in the evening as well. So I checked 27 plus 4, I think 27 plus 5, 27 plus 6, then 28 weeks. Everything was still okay, just that the baby movement had reduced. The blood flow to the placenta was okay. The baby's heart was beating fine. The brain was okay. And when I checked again on at 28 plus 2 weeks, I didn't have a good feeling about it. So I decided to just calm down, because the ultrasound scan was still okay and I knew that I had time. So I decided to just stay calm and go to the delivery ward at 28 plus 3 to do an ultrasound scan again, to do a CTG, that's the baby monitor thing that they tie on your belly, and make sure that baby is still okay. So when I went, I asked one of my colleagues, a midwife in the delivery room, to have this scan done, this CTG done for me. So she did it for me, and as I saw the readings on the paper, I knew that this was not good. So the baby's the readings on the paper was as if baby was right at the end. Okay, if you have ever experienced this before, or if you have seen how this paper thing works, you know exactly what I mean. Once you see that, you know that there isn't much time left and you have to do something about it. So I had this baby monitor thing done for me, and I did another ultrasound scan, but this time around the ultrasound scan wasn't a good one. The blood flow to the placenta had changed, and it was telling me that something had to be done. So my colleague, I actually had my colleague do this scan for me. So my colleague asked me what I wanted to do about it at that point in time, and I told her that I think that baby had to come out. So she had me sign the papers, and we prepared everything, and my husband had to run home to bring it back, because of course we had just finished shopping. We went shopping and we came to the delivery ward to make sure that everything was okay as usual. But this time around, all the things that we had stayed in our car, and we went back home after 5 days, I think, in the delivery ward. So just as I had finished signing my papers, I had my colleague do spinal anesthesia for me, and the cesarean section was performed, I think, an hour after we arrived in the delivery ward. I wasn't scared. It was a very different experience, because this time around I wasn't the one performing the cesarean section on somebody. I was at the very, like, the opposite end of the table, and it was a pretty interesting experience. I didn't think that was how my pregnancy was going to end, but it ended like that anyway at 28 plus 3 weeks. My baby was born around the 10 p.m., almost 11 p.m. She weighed around 950 grams because she wasn't growing at all. I couldn't eat much, and I was pretty sick during my pregnancy, so she couldn't grow well. She was very, very small, but she was healthy. She cried a lot, and she had a pretty good APGAR score, which is like the scoring system of how the baby reacts after birth, how the baby looks after birth, the breathing, the color of the skin, movement. So she was pretty good. She was rushed. The people, the pediatrician took her, or the neonatologist took her, wrapped her in a plastic bag so she didn't lose any heat, and they brought her to me. I saw her, kissed her, and she was gone. So after, I was whisked to the ICU, where I stayed for I think 6 or 7 hours, and the very next morning, around 6 o'clock, I was up on my feet again. I was prepared, and I was sent to the ward to join the other mothers who had delivered. Funny enough, some of these mothers that were in the ward with me were mothers that I had just delivered a couple of days ago. Now I was a patient just like them. It was a pretty interesting experience. So the next morning, I was able to go and see my baby. It was emotional, very, very emotional, because I could see all these tubes coming from everywhere, my baby on the breathing monitor, and she was very beautiful, but she was very vulnerable. I couldn't cry in front of my colleagues. I had to be strong, despite the fact that I knew that at 28 weeks, lots of things could go wrong. But I still stayed positive. That, of course, lots of things can go wrong, but lots of things can go right as well. So after 5 days, I asked to be discharged because I was feeling okay. And every single day, I went to the hospital to visit my baby girl in the morning, and I went at night at 7 p.m. as well. And during this period, I knew I wanted to breastfeed my baby. I knew that breast milk was better for preterm babies than formula. So what I did was, right after I left the intensive care after my cesarean section, I started to pump. Okay, the first day I got just a few drops, but it was okay for me because she needed colostrum. I sent it to the NICU and it was given to her. The second day I pumped again. I got a little more, and it was better from then. I ended up donating 1.5 liters of breast milk every single day from February till the end of April, till we left the NICU and went back home. So that would have been maybe 50 liters plus. I donated breast milk for all the children that were in the NICU, and I'm happy that despite the fact that my pregnancy journey didn't go as I had planned, I was able to help other women or help other babies that were in the NICU. And I guess that's how my pregnancy went. Postpartum journey was very crazy for me as well, but that I will talk about in the next season of this video. During my pregnancy, I didn't have gestational diabetes. I did go for the test around 24 to 28 weeks. I didn't get to 28 weeks, so around 24 weeks, I went for my gestational diabetes test, and it was okay. I had all my scans, first trimester scan, second trimester scan. Those were okay as well. All my blood tests were okay as well. The only thing that wasn't okay was my baby was not well, because she got pretty sick from me getting a flu in the delivery ward by going to work. Okay. But otherwise, apart from vomiting and not being able to eat well, I think my journey was pretty good. at 3 weeks postpartum, knowing that I had my baby in the delivery ward, knowing that I had my baby in an NICU, I couldn't stay home. So I went back to work. I went back to doing my on-call shifts, doing my night duties, because of course when I'm in the hospital, I'm nearer to my baby, right? So I go deliver my patients, do my cesarean sections, go do my ward rounds, and when I have time, I go see my baby. In between, if I know I have to pump, I pump quickly, and then I send it to the NICU for other babies to have their breakfast, their lunch, or their dinner. It was a good experience for me. Postpartum was very hard for me, from postpartum mood changes to skin changes to I don't know what. It was hard, very hard. But you do stay tuned. I'm going to talk about that in my next video. I hope that my journey or my story has been a little inspirational for you. If you have any questions for me, I will be glad to answer them in subsequent videos. Thank you for watching and have a good evening. Bye.